I don't really know the answer to that. I should. I recognize.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I would like to call this Ways and Means meeting of Tuesday, April 11th at 4:00 p.m. to order. May I have roll call, please?
Panaja.
Present.
Radke. Here. Demus. Here. Millette.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Boyer.
Present.
Begic.
Here.
Quorum present.
Will everyone rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, I need approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Motion for the minutes of 3/7/23.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, minutes approved. At this time is for public input. Is anyone wishing to address the committee at this time? Please do so. Calling once. Calling twice. 3 times. Thank you. Public input is ended. Okay, petitions and communications. Item 1A, Bay County Commissioners, opposition to expansion of Camp Grayling.
Motion approved. Support.
For any discussion? Yes.
I asked for the person from Merritt Township maybe to sort of update us on where things are at with, or whoever wants to speak about it.
There's really not a lot of update. The DNR has not come through with a decision. As far as we know, they are going to be speaking with the tribes. We have heard maybe the first part of May, but that's all we know. So we're still pushing forward. We spoke in Gladwin County this morning, presented, and we're pushing forward to get more support for keeping Northern Michigan pure Michigan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Tom, did you have one?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's a great place to take this out to Arizona, or Utah, or New Mexico,
Nice.
where they have a lot of open space.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Item B, Director, Environmental Affairs, Community Development. Information item, upcoming solid waste management planning
Motion
requirement.
received.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Yes, Juan.
I'd asked Laura Ogard to maybe address this important issue.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, through the chair. So this is a informational item only. It regards the legislation that was passed, state legislation that was passed last December, that authorizes EGLE, the Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, to start implementing the Solid Waste Management Planning Act. This Solid Waste Management Planning Act is specifically about counties. And so I wanted to make sure that you were all informed that this is coming forward. There's nothing that needs to be done right now, but it will be something that they will be requiring all counties to update their solid waste management plan. They have said that they will provide some funding in order to do that, but as Mr. Begic knows from the last solid waste management plan amendment, it is a very difficult, arduous process that can take 2 to 5 years. And so the EGLE is not actually, while it has gone into effect, this new legislation, March 29th, the director of EGLE will still have an announcement on when they are going to begin implementation. So we don't, and we'll have 180 days after that time to take some action. If we choose not to take action, eventually Eagle will make a plan for a county, and that's just the way it is. And having a county do it themselves, us do it, we can have some control over what goes in that plan. In particular, siting requirements or siting criteria about landfills, where landfills would go, where landfills should not go, and as well as it would help make us eligible for future grants, in particular household hazardous waste storage facilities, which we've been working very hard with the city of Bay City on over the last few years to try and develop that type of service here for countywide.
Yes.
So all I know is the legislation is over 20 pages long.
I know, it's
There's a lot of
horrible.
legislation here. It was sort of a last-minute thing, I believe, also, sort of a lame duck.
Last minute, but in the works for years. I will say that there's kind of a cheat sheet, that Eagle Materials Management Planning, that notice of intent. It's only about a 3-page item. You can look at that. That kind of describes it in a kind of an executive summary type of format. But it is not a pleasant process. And it involves, let me just say, a committee, which not by itself is not such a bad thing, but they kind of stipulate who that committee should be comprised of: waste haulers, different, landfill owners, people, industry type representatives. And just as a heads up, when that committee, that's the committee that kind of makes a decision for this, and the county board is supposed to kind of like give consent to that. And so it would be involved. It would be involved in order to ensure that Bay County is represented, and what we want as a community is actually represented in that plan.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to thank you, Laura. It's very important that we at the county level have input. For example, citing a landfill or expanding a landfill in Bay County could be done without county input. And I think it is a long process and detailed, but Laura, you have a great track record on working through these environmental mandates that come from Washington and Lansing. And it's going to be a long, arduous process, as you explained, but I really think we need to move ahead on this. And you did mention to me that there may be state funding available to help defray some of the costs involved.
Yes, within the 20 pages, there is actually stipulations about some funding that would be available, and it's based on both per county as well as an increment per population. So that's in there too. I would like to, since I'm standing here, though, I would like to kind of bring it to everybody's attention. Earth Day is coming up, April 22nd. It's, almost like the 100th anniversary, but not really. But it's been around for a long time, April 22nd. Again, we've worked with the City of Bay City on countywide. All county residents can take some of their items in for recycling at the 2900 North Water Street, like electronics, the flat screen televisions, cell phones, hearing aids, the bulbs, scrap metal, inkjet cartridges. This is on our website, and we can repost it on Facebook again, but just to kind of help folks promote that event, it's a good, I get calls 6 or 7 a week about recycling or household hazardous materials. So April 22nd, 9 till 2, 2900 North Water Street. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Laura.
Motion to receive.
Okay,
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Been approved. Item C, Bay County Sheriff Homeland Security Grant for the year 2024. Operation Stonegarden Grant.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Motion carries. Item 2, C2, for the year 2023 Community Project Funding Grant.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? That's one.
I believe we have somebody online, it's quite a large sum of money, so I guess I'd like to know a little bit more about what
Okay,
is all involved. And no, not there. I'm supposed to be a staff person. Well, I guess we're just applying for it, we don't know if we're going to get it.
okay, well, I can go to the next one. If they come in, we'll just go back.
Is somebody here? Okay.
Oh,
It'll be the, oh, that is, okay.
Do you want me to answer some questions? Is that what you said?
It's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, that's the grant that we just, it sounds like we're getting awarded it from everything we've heard so far, and that's going to be for an airboat, another safe boat, and then body cams funding from the feds.
Good chance of getting it, or,
Yeah. It sounds like it's done. We haven't officially, but the money's supposed to be getting released to the state police. I think it's going to be the fiduciary on it for all the counties, and I think that should be happening within the next probably month. So what we're hearing so far, if nothing changes.
thank you.
anyone else? Okay. Was there a motion? Supported? Okay.
We did.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? See none. Motion carries. Item D, Community Corrections for the year 2024 grant.
So, support.
Any discussions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? See none. Motion carries. Item E, Bay County Prosecutor, authorization to execute USM Form 105 to extradite prisoner from Arizona to Michigan.
So,
Any discussion? Yes, Juan?
I guess I'd like a little more detail on it. I
Yes.
signed for it. It sounds interesting, or not interesting.
I'm going to be a little careful about what I talk about. Somebody that I've been investigating for a couple of years, the charges homicide and other charges. She is presently in federal custody and waiting transport to Bay County. So the process has been accomplished, which with much effort, assistance from the Sheriff's Department. So we've got the paperwork, and she's in custody and going to be up here in Michigan probably in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Nancy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, see none. Motion carries. Item F, Court Administrator, grant application supporting treatment court services.
so,
Any discussion?
So, we had some discussion on this. There's some question about if there's any matching funds that might go along with any of these grants. And I think we wanted maybe to refer back to the court administrator, or maybe we can ask a few questions now and then decide how we're going to handle it. I guess it's the grant, it's the match that we're concerned about, like we're sort of writing a blank check for stuff, and then we'd like to know if there's any match required that we'd have to spend.
This comprises five different grants that we currently have: Swift Insure, sobriety, adult drug, family drug, or juvenile drug, and family abuse. I would say there are a few dollars, but they're not like a match. We might pay for a meal that they went to a conference or something like that, but the grant pays for all the wages, the fringes, the treatment, the testing. There's minimal dollars, and several of the grants also collect program income from participants, and that money can be used to offset the expenses, like for travel to a conference or the meals or something. So historically, there is no match required, and historically the grant pays 100%. Whatever we spend, we get reimbursed.
Okay. Yes, Tom?
Kim, we've been doing this for a number of years, correct?
The first grant, the Honorable Craig Alston started back in 2005, January 1st of 2005.
This is just a recurring thing that we...
Yes, and then we've added more programs to it. They're all treatment-based, but yes, this has been building and going since 2005. And so these are really like renewal grants in many ways.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'd just like to ask, from what I hear, the program's been very successful since the beginning of the program. That's pretty much what you feel has happened to kind of over the years?
Yes, obviously,
Very successful.
obviously, many people do succeed, and there are those that fail, that just didn't make it through. Statewide, that has been historically the case, that treatment courts have been beneficial, and that's why the state has been willing to support them with grants. Yes, absolutely.
anyone else? Yes, Vaughn?
It just seems like some of these grants have come through individually in the past, so are you sort of lumping a lot of them together in this resolution?
So the state has released just the beginning of April, the application process for grants that would be awarded for October 1st. All of them are due, I believe, May 28th. So this is just a request for us to be able to put in a grant request for each one of the existing grants that we have. And that does not commit the county to anything yet. If we don't get an award, so be it, or if it's less or more. That actually happens when we get into late September, usually could be the 1st of October, they'll notify us, and then I come back and ask for you to accept that grant. And if you do, corporate counsel approves the contract, and then we sign it and go forward. So this is just the application process, and it's just permission to allow us to do that.
Just wonder if Shauna had any comments about the process.
I guess my question for the board would just be if that is acceptable to the board, would this be a standard that we'd want to apply countywide? Because these tight grant requirements are the same for the courts or for any other county department that's applying for the same grants. So is that the position that the board would like to be in, where we would allow any departments to apply for any grants as long as there was no match, or if there was a match regardless? Just, you know, it's the same issue that all departments have in terms of grant.
Yes, Tom?
So you just talk about, like, the grant application. I think we discussed this before, just so we have to go through this whole process just to apply. Is that right?
That's if the board would like, you know, the ability to allow departments, so this is quite a few grants that, you know, we work with the courts to administer, but there are definitely other departments and other elected officials who are facing these same tight deadlines. So if the board is going to allow this, are they going to allow it for all? And just where there's matching fund, just required matching funds, just where there are other matching funds to run the program, or in the case of all grants? So I guess just wondering what the board's feeling is.
Do we need like a separate resolution to do this? Sometime?
Well, and that's, we can do that.
I'm not talking about right now, but
Sure,
yeah,
for future
maybe
months.
next month or so, or
Yes.
next 2 months, whatever. Yeah, okay, that's all I know. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good with that, too. Makes it a lot easier.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Item G1, Health Officer, acceptance of congressional earmark funding of $2 million for the Bay County Health and Human Services Complex. Any discussion? Yes, Paul.
Mr. Strauss is here. We haven't heard from him lately, so there haven't been any pandemics around, so.
No, we're still in the pandemic, but we're in the endemic phase of the pandemic, so.
So just wondered about what this funding might be used for, you know.
So it's a supplement to the $9 million that's been committed. You know, that was a pretty tight budget based on the build-out analysis, and this will actually kind of ease things. And we're also seeking opportunities there may be some public health infrastructure funding, public health infrastructure funding that's passed down from the federal government to the state to local governments. And so we're hoping to get some of those funds as well, too.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And I know the project is moving along at rapid speed.
Well, it's moving along, and it's in the process of negotiations right now.
Thank you.
What do you see, I guess, as the time frame? I've got questions about that, you know, when will this be?
Well, what I would like to see and what's happening are not two different things, but it's moving a little bit slower than I had anticipated, but I'm hoping that a purchase can be negotiated of the property by summer, and then that we can begin in earnest in getting construction lined up and everything. And, you know, I think we've got until 26 to complete the project. I would really like to have it done by the end of next year, but I've been known to be pretty wishful on things, so I may have to come back to earth on that, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none. Motion carries. Item G2, travel request for 2023 National Tuberculosis Conference.
So
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Item G3, acceptance of additional funding for Regional Parental Quality Initiative.
So
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Okay, item H1, memorandum of understanding for project Fresh Market Fresh.
So
Support.
Any discussion? I think we have Beth in here. Does anybody have any questions?
Refresh us.
I
Yeah.
will tell you that they are getting $25 worth of coupons each person. We are slated for 100 sets of coupons. We're hoping to get 200. So last year, we did about 193 people.
Okay. All right. Yes, Jim.
Beth, I'm wondering if you might address the issue that some of the commissioners may have heard about folks getting takeout
Oh, yep, so,
lunches from the congregate meal sites.
yep, I belong to the work group for the nutrition services through the ACLS, which is the Aging and Community Living Supports through Lansing. They are the ones that oversee our funding, handed out to the AAAs, and then gets handed out to us. With the PHE ending May 11th, they are ending our COVID takeout program for our meals at the congregate sites only. They are also ending the second meal choice at the congregate sites. All of this was put in place during COVID. There's nothing I can do to change that. It's under the Older American Act of 1965. I've talked to many of our congressmen and our senators and our representatives and our senators in Lansing and in the feds to try to get the Older American Act updated. I've even asked to be on that board to update that. I really feel that we're not meeting our constituents in the 2023 era that we're in right now. They are saying the reason why we cannot have the takeout meals anymore or the second meal choice is because part of our activity center requirements are not just nutrition, but socialization. So if you take a meal out, you are not socializing anymore. Okay? So they would want us to put those people who take them out of our sites underneath our home delivered meal program. Right now, we are way overserved in our home delivered meal. We are slated to do 117,000 meals according to my contract with Region 7's grant. Right now, we're at 210,000 meals that we have provided since October of last year. So to put people who need us in the homebound situation on a waiting list to provide a takeout meal at the activity centers, to me, is not a good choice to make. So those who want to come in and eat at the activity center and socialize and follow the rules that I have to follow, we're for you. But I'm not going to put people who need us on a waiting list for home-delivered meals so that other people can take out meals from the site. So that's where we are right now. I did get a letter from Scott Welmsley. He's the director of ACLS for the state, saying this is how it's going to be. I have to follow those rules per our guidelines, or I don't get funding. I could lose funding. I could put our funding in jeopardy. And if you read the April Wonderful Times front page where I talk about it, I said, while I will advocate always for our 60-year and better population, I will never do anything to jeopardize our funding. So that's where we are at this moment.
Beth, I got a question. What's the percentage of our 60 years old or older population in Bay County?
28%. That's 29,080 people out of the 103, and that's based off of the 2020 census.
Okay,
It could be more now.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
How many of our constituents or folks that would be affected by this reduction?
Probably about 150 to 200 people, but not everybody takes up, the people who are still coming to our sites, they know the rules, they've been around long enough that they know that we're just going back to what it was before COVID hit us in the pandemic. They understand that. I just have a few who came in after the pandemic that don't understand why we can't stay the way we are. And unfortunately, the explanation that I have has not been well received. So, anything else?
Andy?
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Beth. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, say none. Motion carries. Item H2, update purchase of service agreement between A&D Home Healthcare Waiver Program and Bay County Department of Aging.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, say none. Motion carries. Item 1, Juvenile Home Director, acceptance of a USDA Supply Chain Assistance Funds, $5,147.47. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, see none. Motion carries. Item J, Equalization 2023 Preliminary Report.
So moved. Receive.
Any discussion? Yes.
I don't, she's available. She said she'd be available if we have any questions, not online. Not here. All I know is it went up. Some of it went up. I mean, all I know is mine went up.
Shauna, would you know how much it went up?
I don't have good information but I can get it for the next board.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks like we'll be getting more money.
Yes.
I mean,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, see none. Motion carries. Item K, Director of Recreations and Facilities. 1, sale of surplus items.
So moved.
Support. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, see none. Motion carries. Item K2, Elevator Consultant.
So moved.
Support. Any discussion? I got one. When do you think we'll probably be able to get that repaired? Maybe a year from now, or?
I hope it's sooner than that.
I know it's been, I know, it's just,
So the elevator consultant will get started as soon as it's approved next week and we sign the contracts. Then they have to go through a process where they evaluate everything that we have, create a scope, then we release a bid, we go through that whole process, select a vendor, and then at that point, the vendor has to then order the elevator equipment and schedule us for install. So is it gonna be quick? No, but gosh, I hope it's not a year.
are we looking at both of them?
Yes, you
Okay.
have to. You have to replace them both at the same time.
Okay. That includes all the new fire panels and everything else, right?
It will.
Okay.
What would be the estimated cost, any idea?
Well, we obviously don't have the bids in from the vendors yet. We have the budgeted dollars. We have $750,000 in budgeted dollars from the capital plan that you guys passed in this year's budget. I'm hopeful that it will come in less than that.
Very good.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, see none. Motion carries. Item L1, analysis, finance offer, analysis of general fund.
So move.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item L2, update regarding Executive Director 2007-11.
Motion to receive.
Support.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? See none. Motion carries. Item L3, approval of Riemann Robson engagement letter to additional services for lease of GASB 87 software.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Motion carries. And item L4, 2024 budget schedule.
So move.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? See none. Motion carries. Item N, payables.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Motion carries. Okay, referrals. Any referrals? Any unfinished business? Any new business? Amber, is there a need for a closed session?
There is not, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any miscellaneous? Any announcements? Yes.
I think most of you got the invite to the Veterans Open House, May 11th. I think it's, I remember it, 3 o'clock, something like that. 3 to 6, down the street, about a block or so.
American Legion?
Yeah.
What's that?
No, it's at Madison.
Veterans
No, it's-
It's their
Foundation.
building on Madison.
Oh, Million Madison, yeah.
Come on by.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that the Lions Tag Days are going to be next weekend at Bay City. The Essexville Hampton Club, I've been working, and we now have a full club there, and they're going to be working with a small number of people. So if you see those lions out there with their tags, don't run them over. Give them money for a tag. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dennis. Anybody else? Okay. Motion adjourned?
So motion, support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.